Hello, and welcome to the episode of Todd Talks. When Todd Talks, people listen. Hey, man. Yeah? You ever wonder why we're here? Well, it's one of life's great mysteries, isn't it? Why are we here? Are we the product of some cosmic coincidence? Is there really God, you know, watching over us and stuff? I don't know, man, but it keeps me up at night. What? Huh? No, I mean, like, why are we here on Todd Talk? Oh, what was that stuff about God? Nothing. You want to talk about it? No. You sure? Yes. Hopefully. That's right. Longest intro in Todd Talk history. You're welcome. So, yes, it is time to discuss what might just be one of the most insane death battles ever. And I know that's a crazy statement given what we just had in Venom versus Corona. But yes, it is time to talk red versus blue. Now, usually I do these videos after the second preview has come out, which in this case would have been blue team. But for some reason, I'm sure some of you noticed this, there's something going on at Rooster Teeth. I don't know what, but like they said they had to delay the Death Battle cast, and the tweet said that they had to make unexpected adjustments. And it has to be with Red versus Blue because not only is the Red Team video, which was out on Monday, gone from YouTube, it's also gone from the Rooster Teeth site. So something must have gone on with the editing of the episode, or I don't know. But usually I like to make these videos after the previews have come out, just so light details I can glimpse from there are found. But it's like almost 2 hours after when they're supposed to have done that, and they haven't. So I'm just gonna do what I can with what I know. So Red versus Blue, the series that launched Rooster Teeth into super fame, and as Death Battle happily noted, was the thing that honestly kind of created them in their own way, including being the inspiration behind Boomstick's voice because he really liked the sound of Sarge, who of course is his canonical father. Kind of. It's complicated. Anyway, uh, 17 seasons now going on 18 with RVB 0, and they're still going. But the question that this death battle is going to ask is who would win in a true death battle between red and blue? Now, as they noted in the last death battle cast, there are clear members of the team. It's basically everyone from season one. All right. So red team is Sarge, Simmons, Griff, Lopez, La Pesado, and Donut. Sorry, Donut with the Warthog. Okay. And then blue team is Church, Tucker, Caboose, Tex. Yes, Tex, and Sheila the Tank. So right there, it's 5-on-5, but 5.5 because of the Warthog. So those are the characters that we're going to be focusing on, or that's going to be in the battle. So no Washington, no Carolina, none of them. All right. So where do we begin? Oh boy, this is where it gets really convoluted. So a long time ago, during the war in Halo, um, a man named Dr. Leonard Church lost his wife Allison to the Great War, and so he decided to make a new project called Project Freelancer to try and end the war and make sure that this kind of loss doesn't happen. They were given an AI called Alpha, and in the course of experimenting on Alpha unintentionally at first and then intentionally later, he was able to fragment the AIs and give them to his various freelancers to make them stronger. A byproduct of this, I promise this is going to make sense. A byproduct of this was that the Alpha AI, which is based on his own brain, made another AI called Beta. Beta was the memories of his wife Allison, and so he put Beta into another body to make freelancer Tex and be the head person of a freelancer essentially. And Alpha was continuously tortured to make more AIs, but eventually they would to test the various freelancers, including Tex, and I said Tex, I apologize, Tex and Carolina. He set up scenarios between soldiers that were expendable, okay, and he put them in various places to fight to the death to see who would win. And one of these tests was the Blues and the Reds. Okay, not the Reds and the Blues and the Reds. And to the surprise of Church and Dr. Church and his crew, they had been They were the only team to have been fighting the whole time and not win. Like every other combat zone, if you will, they were able to kill each other one way or the other. This one didn't. So because of what was going on with the war, he decided that he needed to protect Alpha from harm. So he put Alpha in the AI slot of a soldier named Jimmy, and shipped Church, the name of the new name of the AI, and sent him off to another encampment that had the exact kind of soldiers to perpetuate a never-ending war. The Reds and the Blues. I know that was complicated. Yeah, it's a lot. Whew. All right, so the Reds and the Blues literally fight each other. Like that's all they do. They fight each other one after another, and they just don't win. It's like something always happens that perpetuates a stalemate, and then eventually things just go absolutely crazy, and they eventually team up, and they save the day. Then they fight each other again. Then they go back to stalemates, and then they team up. It's complicated. I would happily break down all 17 seasons for you and the anthology season. But yes, I know it's part of the 17. I'm just saying. But we don't have the time, and I'm honestly trying to keep this under 30 minutes. So, and I've wasted 5 just trying to show you how they all ended up in Blood Gulch. All right. So this is a very interesting death battle for various reasons. Not the least of which is that when you watch Red versus Blue, you acknowledge that these are all soldiers, right? Both Red Team and Blue Team, and that they all have halo armor, right? But what gets lost is that when you're watching the show, which is something that Death Battle has noted many times they do with other shows, you don't think of their feats. You think of what they get themselves into and just how they happen to save the day at the end. So, like in the Red Team preview before it was taken down, they noted that Simmons is apparently 90 times faster than the average super soldier. So, okay. Or average human, I guess, because he could change so fast. But of course, that's not how you actually look at things. So, it's like, is that really a feat? And then, as I'm sure they're going to mention and as I mentioned for Griff, Griff can take a brutal amount of punishment, including shots to the, yeah. And uh, Donut has that incredible throwing arm, of course. Sarge is technically a master of camouflage because at the time he got to sneak up on Washington without him knowing that it wasn't a cutout. So, and then you got the others. You got the blue team where they have their own feats, and so it's honestly kind of hard to break it all down because the other thing that they made sure to mention in the Death Battle cast was that while they're focusing on the season 1 characters, they're including the entirety of RVB. This is important because while in season 1 most of these characters could be defined as ineffective and slackers, especially Griff and Church and Tucker, by season 17 they really are hardened soldiers. I mean, especially after the Cronus trilogy of seasons where they honestly had to go and fight and take command and lead others into battle and help defeat Felix and Locus and all the various armies that they had to fight. And so they honestly are really experienced by this point in time. And so since Death Battle, as they noted, we're going to take all 17 seasons, you really have to look at not just their histories, but their dynamics and what feats they honestly possess. So this is where things get a little tricky, and I'm going to caveat my ending pick on something that I'll explain in a bit. So let's talk about Red Team kind of quickly. So as mentioned, we have Sarge, Simmons, Griff, Donut, Lopez, Lapisado, and the Warthog. So Sarge is your typical bloodthirsty soldier. He wants to kill the Blues above all else, even when they are in retirement together. Yeah. So his leadership style is eccentric, let's call it that, and oftentimes fails. But he has gotten better, but he still has that kind of old school mentality of, this has to be done a certain way and it has to be overly elaborate. Like when he fought Surge, as Simmons noted, they could each shoot Surge, kill him, and be done with it, but Surge didn't want that because it had to be the old school way, one on one. So yeah, Simmons is our resident geek and intelligence officer or science officer, whatever you want to call him, and he's also honestly really good with heavy weaponry. I had to remember that, but yeah, he's honestly really good with like rocket launchers. He can also pilot the Warthog's turret gun with extreme accuracy. Um, he's also part cyborg, which I honestly did forget. I'm sorry. Griff is our resident slacker. He just doesn't give a crap. He just doesn't care. But he did become better later on, and he realized that he really does care for everyone on Red Team, even Sarge when he wants to kill him. Sarge, not Griff. But yeah, he's also a really good driver. Like he's the one usually driving the Warthog, and he's piloted ships in the past, so he honestly does have some good things going for him. But he usually doesn't care. Then of course there's Lopez La Pesada. And for those who don't get that joke, watch RVB. Okay, it's Lopez the Heavy in Spanish. And I was gonna make a joke there, but I'm not going to now. So Lopez is their actual robot, and he is was loyal, didn't became a traitor, got turned evil, got rebuilt, and now he's just there. He's just there basically to insult them because he knows that nobody understands him because he only speaks Spanish because of a glitch in the voice box. So yeah. Although if you recall, technically Griff now speaks Spanish, and yet they made it sound like no one understood him when he returned at the end of season 17. Just saying. So yeah. And then the Warthog is of course a classic Halo uh, vehicle, and it's incredibly durable. Yet it has been destroyed in the past, but it's also incredibly nimble. It has, of course, the turret gun, and it plays the loudest music ever. What is that noise? So yeah, that's Red Team in a nutshell. Blue Team, of course, is led by Church, aka Alpha, and angry, insulting, slightly ineffective as a leader, but technically he's better than he sounds. Cannot shoot worth a darn unless he absolutely needs to, or plot device, and so on and so forth. Lavernius Tucker, aka Patrick Bow Wow, is our resident sword wielder, ladies' man, father to an alien who got a college basketball scholarship, and junior, obviously. And he also can't shoot, but he learned to eventually. And honestly, if you really want to talk about skill growth, Tucker is the one who grew the most in terms of skill between seasons 1 and 17 because he was trained by aliens, by various armies. He learned to use a sword, the plasma sword, and so on and so forth. So he honestly is a really good fighter now, and he even is I would argue a better leader than Church was before his death in season 13. And yeah, he honestly he's a bitch. He's childish and very immature, but when he wants to be, he can be like the best character, and that's really cool. Donut. Oh, I said Donut. I didn't talk about Donut. I apologize. I didn't talk about Donut. Yes, Donut is Donut in Red Team, and he's got a heck of an arm. He is infinitely gay, though he won't admit it, and he just does not understand that some euphemisms just shouldn't be said. Let's just leave it there. Caboose. Caboose is our resident child and idiot, and yet he has this ability to just communicate with certain entities because of his childlike naivete, and like Santa. He also got Andy to calm down a lot. Oh, Andy the bomb. What a blast. And of course, he's as strong as an ox. He was able to lift Andy, which is a very heavy bomb. And he flipped a warthog once. He beat, what was his name? Krovos. Yeah, Krovos out of church during the time travel storyline because he just, yeah. Yeah. Caboose is something. Okay. And finally, okay, Sheila's a tank. She is underappreciated and used to be called Phyllis until a time travel hiccup got her called Sheila. And she has, of course, a turret. She does have a cannon, which blew up church the first time. And so, oh yeah, Caboose likes to kill teammates. It just happens. So, and I'm looking at my clock and it says 15 minutes. And yeah, we're probably gonna go a little long. I apologize. So, which brings, of course, to Tex. Tex is a freelancer, was the best on the leaderboard, and she came to Blood Gulch after a distress signal and stuck around because partly because of Church, the Alpha AI, and partly because the freelancers that just kept showing up, like Wyoming and O'Malley, her AI that kind of went rogue. That's a complicated story. So she's the best skilled, best trained, got the best skills, has invisibility armor, and so on and so forth. The big thing about both Tex and Church is that because they are AIs, even though technically Church is in a human body in the Blood Gulch Chronicles. Remember Jimmy? Yeah. So they, as AIs, have the ability to possess people. Both Church and Tex have been shown to do this. Church does it more often. Tex doesn't like to do it unless necessary, like in the O'Malley exchange at the end of season 5. But when it comes right down to it, they can possess anybody because they are AIs, and their AIs, the AI chips that are in their bodies can be transferred. That's how Alpha got to be in Washington's body at the end of, what was it, season 8 or 9, something like that. And because of that, no, it was season 6 maybe. I don't remember now. Sorry, it's a really convoluted history. Anyway, but their AIs can be transferred from host to host should they need to, and of course of the Blood Gulch Chronicles, Church alone possessed Lopez, who was a robot, and of course, thus he doesn't have to possess a living thing. He's possessed Church. I'm sorry, Sarge. He's possessed Simmons, I think, at one point, and he even tried to possess Tex, and it didn't really go well. But and Tex has possessed others as well. So their possession is a key factor in this death battle, no doubt. Now, can they be killed? Killed, yes. All right. Both Tex and Church in their AI forms eventually died because remember their original bodies died. Then they were put into robots after capturing Donut, I believe, and they both of their bodies were eventually handled in a way to where they were eradicated. In Tex's case, Andy's bomb partially blew up, and apparently that led to her dying. It's really complicated, but she eventually did die, and then was reborn as a whole bunch of other clones because the director just couldn't let his wife die. As for Church, the Alpha AI is dead. All right, an EMP fried him. That was intentional because that was the only way to help get rid of the meta and certain other things. But yeah. So Alpha is dead. Um, Epsilon was the next Church. He died after fragmenting himself into all of the different AIs at the end of season 13, so that the others could take on the Charon enemies that are about to fight them. So they're dead too. So there is a way to kill an AI. It's a hard thing to do, and they have to do it before they get possessed. Because once they're possessed, they are in complete control of their body. They can, get them to shoot other people and so on and so forth. So, given all okay, very loosely, the people they defeated freelancers, including Wyoming, multiple times because of his time loop ability. They've defeated soldiers of multiple different ranks. In one case, let's see, it was Caboose and Sarge went to another dimension, kind of, sort of, and they fought a whole bunch of actual like Halo players and wiped the floor with them. And Caboose took out like a whole squadron on his own. Texas, of course, beating every freelancer there is outside of the meta because they didn't really. Actually, they did. She did beat the meta once. I apologize. Um, and let's see, Tucker, Sarge, Griff, Simmons, Donut, technically Caboose. They were all part of the Cronus trilogy where they had to fight mercenaries like Felix and Locust, and Tucker and Donut combined to help beat Felix, and a whole bunch of soldiers on different sides of armies. They, of course, defeated the Charon soldiers at the end of the Cronus trilogy. And then, of course, they helped defeat the god Crovis, kind of, sort of. And yeah, it's a lot. I guess 17 seasons. What are you going to do? So, who wins in a battle between red versus blue? This is a little more complicated than you might think, because as the death battle preview showed for red, which again is off the air for some reason, they're taking like every feat like as literally as possible, like the quick change feat, Griff being, basically immune to groin damage. Nuts. And so on and so forth. So they're gonna like look at like all 17 seasons and compile the feats, and that gets really complicated because each of them have their own feats. Like I said, Tucker is now a really good super soldier on terms with freelancers. Even Felix admitted that. No, it wasn't Felix. It was someone else. But Felix also acknowledged his skills once upon a time. And Simmons is honestly really good with heavy weaponry. He's really great on that turret, which he's used multiple times throughout the series. Griff is no slouch. Caboose went one-on-one with O'Malley, and who is not going to be part of this death battle. Okay, Doc nor O'Malley is going to be part of either team. And also he was a pacifist. So he went one-on-one with O'Malley multiple times and won. And O'Malley was, the crazy version of Doc. And so like that's no slouch. Plus he killed Tex's body with the grenade throw, and he's known for just being able to lob grenades with perfect accuracy. Sarge is no slouch. He has, even though he didn't technically mellow out with age in regards to the series, he is very lethal with a shotgun. He was able to take down Tex clones on his own, and like that. Remember that whole army of Tex clones? It was Red, Blue, and Carolina together that helped defeat them all. All right, they had to work together, and that's saying something. So they honestly all have combat skills. The question is who could actually win in a fight, and this is complicated because you say like, well, think about the machines they have. All right, technically speaking, the tank, you'd think Sheila the tank would be better than the Warthog, but the Warthog's more nimble, and the tank is a bit slow, and the tank has been blown up by grenades in the past. So in theory, Donut could blow up Sheila before she ever really becomes useful. Then the Warthog is honestly a great, strafing fire mechanism, and both with Griff behind the wheel and Simmons with behind the gun. And the gun has a seemingly no end of ammo, if you recall the first season where he's just firing endlessly and like nothing is ending in terms of bullets. So there's that. Church honestly is, I would honestly say Church is the weakest link of all of them because he's a terrible shot. All right, he literally has the worst shot among the cast, and because he was an AI later on, he didn't really grow in his combat skills. He was more of an asset to Carolina and Washington than as an Alpha and Epsilon, respectively. Sorry, the Epsilon, Alpha, whatever. You know what I mean. So I think he's actually the weakest link. Not to mention, Caboose just seems to kill him all the time. Okay, like Caboose finds ways to kill Church unintentionally, whether it be sniper shot, whether it be the Sheila blowing him up with the tank. I think he blew him up with a bomb once. Yeah, so Church is probably going to be the first to die, if for no reason than Caboose. And he said, well, wait, what about Caboose in his onslaught mode? That's a true thing that could happen, but it's also about him getting in the mindset to be a killer. Because like if you recall the fighting the nameless minions of the Halo gamers, he had to think about like kittens and babies. That got him angry. Other times it's about Church. So if Church does die from a red team kill and not him killing him, that could trigger his ability to just go all out. Both Caboose and Donut have this insane ability to just absorb all kinds of pain. Donut's almost died like 11 times. So that says something. Um, Griff also has incredible amounts of pain, as the Tex groin fight showed. So it's really complicated. And What I really think this boils down to, and this might surprise some of you, is the possession. Because as stated, both text and church, who are AI, can inhabit the bodies of the other red team members. So technically speaking, if they wanted to, they could just inhabit their bodies and kill them. Will that happen though? I'm not sure because it is a Blood Gulch thing. It is what they said, the team's in Blood Gulch. Like that's their caveat. Like they're taking the history, but if we're going by Alpha Church, that means that he can possess people, and Tex can do the same thing. And before everyone says like, what doesn't Tex wipe everybody out? No. If you remember the actual chronology, which is infinitely complicated, the Reds beat Tex twice. All right. Sarge and Lopez not only saw through her invisibility cloaking, but Sarge knocked her out with a single whap of his shotgun. All right. And then, of course, Donut blew her up with the grenade launch after throwing it like hundreds of feet. So she's not infallible, and Tex's whole MO in the story is she always because she's an AI built on the death of the director's wife, she always comes so close and then fails. Like that is her that's almost like her uh, DNA. She comes so close with it, she fails, and she gets overconfident, and thus the Reds, of all people, can beat her. Remember, this is now the experienced Red team. So if the possession comes into play, they could technically kill them via an EMP burst. Because remember, that's how Alpha died. He triggered the EMP, and Alpha died as a result. And it was Epsilon took on after him because he was the memory of the Alpha AI. So here's the thing. They'll have the knowledge of that. Red team will have the knowledge of that. So it's tricky. It's tricky because there are a lot of factors into this. And again, 17 seasons of history that you have to play with. So who wins when you actually have them, unchained and saying, hey, go actually kill the blue team and go kill the red team? If they're not able to fight the possession, which you could argue they couldn't because it means they would have to make an EMP on the fly. If they cannot counter the possession, then blue team wins. Because as I said, Church and Tex can lose their bodies and then just go and possess the other members and have them kill each other. It's that simple. If they can counter the possession, like with an EMP or something else, then it's the red team because Donut is a lot more deadly than you realize. Simmons is fierce on that turret gun. Sarge is no slouch. And don't forget Lopez. Lopez is a freaking robot. And so you have to actually destroy his robot body, and his head has knocked people out. Just the head. How? How does that work? So there's your caveat. All right. This isn't an abstention, and I know it's going to sound like it's cheating, but if the possession counts, which it should, if the possession counts and red team can't counter it, then the blue team wins. If possession counts or doesn't count, and or the red team can counter the possession, then red team wins. There's my fix. That's right. I'm cheating. Hey, I am not taking a loss on this. All right, that's just fact. So, if possession cannot be countered, blue team wins. If possession can be countered or does not count at all, then red team wins. There you go. And look, it's gonna be 30 minutes. I again apologize. So with that, I'm ending this episode of Todd Talk. Let me know who you think is gonna win between the red team and the blue team, and tell me why specifically, because this is the first true team battle in Death Battle history. So tell me why you think one side will beat the other. So I thank you for watching. If you made it this far, I know you were listening, and I'll see you around.